So Eddie, what are we going to talk about today?
Target shows.
Particularly the agonists. If you paid attention in school, and I know that rules a lot of you out, so please try to keep up, you may remember English teachers talking about characters that they called protagonists and antagonists. You may also remember some well-meaning teacher, probably in middle school, telling you that a protagonist is a good guy and an antagonist is a bad guy. With all due respect to my colleagues in the middle grades, I know you guys are in Thunderdome every single day out there. I really wish you'd stop telling this to kids. I get it. It's an easy explanation because most of the time with standard storytelling tropes, if there is a character who is a good guy, he is the protagonist. And if there's a bad guy, he is the antagonist. But that's not what the words mean. A protagonist, simply put, is the main character or characters of a story. It's the character that the plot focuses on, the character whose actions kind of propel the story and make it go forward. And it's true that in traditional storytelling, if you've got a hero or a good guy, they usually are the protagonist of the story. But that role does not require them to be good. Think about the TV show Breaking Bad, for example. Bryan Cranston plays Walter White, a chemistry teacher who winds up becoming a meth kingpin. Our hero, ladies and gentlemen? Now, granted, Walter is a fascinating character. You sympathize with him wanting to take care of his family after he gets diagnosed with cancer. And if you've ever had to deal with an insurance company, you may understand how getting involved with drug cartels may seem like a more ethical alternative. But over the course of the series, we watch as Walter goes further and further down this moral spiral, becoming more and more monstrous as he constantly does things to satisfy his own ego. Best TV show of all time. Then there's The Great Gatsby, a novel in which you can't really call anybody a good guy. Every prominent character in this book is objectively a terrible person. True, in the struggle between Jay Gatsby and Tom Buchanan for Daisy's affections, it's a lot easier to sympathize with Gatsby. Tom is a racist, he's sexist, he's abusive towards his wife and his girlfriend, he's neglectful towards his wife and his girlfriend and his daughter, he always leaves the toilet seat up, he doesn't put his cart in the return at the grocery store, he drinks La Croix, morally reprehensible. So yeah, compared to Tom, Gatsby is the bee's knees. Then you remind yourself that Gatsby made his fortune in organized crime, that he has spent the entire novel lusting after and then having an affair with another man's wife, and that he was perfectly happy with covering up manslaughter. So maybe he's not exactly a role model either. Now, the reverse of the protagonist is the antagonist. An antagonist is a character or a force that is working in opposition to the protagonist. Once again, it's true that if there is a good guy in the protagonist role, then the bad guy is probably filling the antagonist role. But just like a protagonist doesn't have to be good, there's nothing that says an antagonist has to be bad. For my receipt this time, I'm going to talk about the movie The Fugitive, the 1993 movie with Harrison Ford, not the TV show. I never watched the show, but I love the movie. The movie is about Dr. Richard Kimball, played by Harrison Ford, a man who is falsely convicted of unaliving his wife, but manages to escape custody and goes on a race to try to find the evidence to prove he's innocent. He is our protagonist. Our main antagonist is U.S. Marshal Sam Gerard, played by Tommy Lee Jones. Gerard is determined to capture our hero, Richard Kimball, but that doesn't make him a villain. He sincerely believes that Kimball is dangerous and violent, and that catching him is the right thing to do. He never does anything shady or immoral, and when he's presented with evidence that Kimball actually is innocent, well, he still captures him, but now it's not because he's trying to put a fugitive away. Now it's because he's got an innocent man who needs to have his day and be exonerated in court. Antagonist? Yes. Bad guy? No. So there you go, protagonist and antagonist. But what you may not have heard in English class, even if you were paying attention, is that those are not the only two agonists there are. Most notably, there's the deuteragonist. A deuteragonist is a character who is neither protagonist nor antagonist, but is so crucial to the plot that the story could not be told without them. A good example for this one is the Disney movie Wreck-It Ralph. Our protagonist, Ralph, is a video game villain who wants to prove that he's not really a bad guy. His quest, his journey to be something else, is the main arc of the film. Along the way, though, he meets another character, a girl believed to be a glitch, Vanellope von Schweetz. Her story becomes intrinsically linked to Ralph's, to his journey, to his quest, and without Vanellope, Ralph has no story to tell. Interestingly enough, in the sequel, Ralph Breaks the Internet, the roles are reversed. Vanellope becomes more of the protagonist, and Ralph becomes more of the deuteragonist. Now, you don't have to have a deuteragonist to tell a story. Lots of stories don't have one, and it never feels like they're missing anything. A protagonist, on the other hand, is pretty much essential. Without at least one character to focus on, how do you even really have a story to tell? As for antagonists, do you need them? Can you tell a story without an antagonist? That's a very interesting question. Interestingly enough, I think that it deserves its own reel. We'll talk more about antagonists next time. The protagonist in this book, her name is Andy.